Um,
Are you feeling drained, sluggish, foggy as the seasons change? Let's reset your energy, immunity, and clarity with a single powerful superfood, one I've been using and taking for over 15 years. And that's why I look so young and I'm not disabled. More on that right after this. Welcome, everybody. This is the Life Enthusiast Health Shots podcast, restoring vitality to you and the planet. I'm your host, Scott Patton. Joining us, as usual, is our other host, Martin Patella, health engineer at Life Enthusiast. How are you doing today, Martin?
Oh, Scott, I have my rectal sphincter puckered. My life is hitting difficult times.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
George says greeting.
Yeah. Hello, George. It takes all of my emotional training to keep myself from thinking, I just want to run away.
So everybody has that, right? We all have that day, those days where there's just like
And I was warned about this. This is the astrological period between now and about September 22.
Is it another Mercury retrograde?
It's not that. No, that's
well, tell us about it. Tell us about it. Come on.
Oh, come on.
You're probably not the only person that has challenges right now.
Well, we're heading into the new moon. The new moon's on the 7th, and it comes with a full eclipse in America, and then the full moon is on about the 21st of September, right at the equinox, and I just don't have it in my recent memory. I was looking at it about 2 weeks ago, and I was making mental notes saying, just survive all the way until the 22nd of September, and then things will be way easier. But what I do know is the following. The metaphor that was given to me is that these days are about the most loaded times humanity has been building up to for the last 3,000 or 4,000 years, like the most astrological mess and intensity. And if you could visualize a sand clock, what is it called?
The hourgrass.
Hourglass.
The sand goes from the top into the bottom.
And it's shaped like this, and then there's the narrow spot through which it drips one grain at a time, and then it opens out. That is in middle of February of 2026. We are going to fall out from this compression chamber at about February 26, and things will open up and will be easy. Until that time, crazy.
Are things ever easy?
Well, yeah. Like, for example, you step out of your door, and the wind is at 40 miles an hour, and the rain is coming at you practically horizontally. Or you come out and it's slightly overcast with mild temperatures, windless. Now, which one of those two is
recently? Here in South Africa, it's been almost no clouds in the sky, mild, like warmish, mild temperature, like so not really hot.
Yeah.
And just beautiful for taking the dogs for a hike.
That's what I would call easy, as opposed to we are in Afghanistan and all of your mud huts have been shaken and thousands of you are buried under the mud bricks. Good day.
Yeah, there's been a lot of biblical floods going on, like just amazing, huge floods in places that you wouldn't really expect it.
Yeah. I was listening to a Swami style dude from India, and he says, well, so you wanted to have tourists, so you cut the forests to build roads, and you cut more of the forests to build hotels, and now you have nothing stopping the monsoon rain when it comes down because the forests were holding it back.
Yeah.
And a mudslide so ferocious came that many people died, but also the infrastructure got wiped out, right?
They actually had a similar, not disaster, but they had a wildfire here, and I'm on the side of a mountain, and about half a mile that way, they went up the mountain and they just sheared all the trees. So where I am, there's still trees above me, but for the rest of the mountain, it's naked. And so we were going for a hike, and some people that lived over there, we ended up talking. I don't know we talked about the mountain, and they said, yeah, the water coming off the mountain is so, there's so much when it rains, and it's so hard. Because it's just basically a 50-degree angle. And it's just like, what, I know what they were thinking. They're thinking, well, we don't want to have the houses burned down. But that's just good management, because you always have fires.
Yeah, beautiful. The houses will not burn down. They'll be washed away by the apocalyptic mudslide.
Right. So since we're on the apocalypse, it wasn't the intention to start off on this, but for those of you that may or may not know, the North and South poles are migrating, and they're accelerating their movement, and they're basically kind of moving towards each other, which means there will be a magnetic flip. If that means the Earth flips or not is a totally different story.
No,
but
the Earth doesn't flip. It's not like that. But the poles flipping is a big deal.
Yeah. So I'll disagree with you on that. It's possible.
Well, okay. So visualize.
The point is nobody knows, and there's all sorts of theories. I'm not saying that
visualize a ball, like a billiard ball, spinning with certain momentum. For it to flip over, it has to bump into something. I don't know what that something is.
No, it doesn't. That's the weird thing. Like, they were up in zero gravity as far as they can get to that, and they had this thing spinning. And then I don't know, I don't remember exactly what they did, and it wasn't big, right? So, there's take all that into consideration. But the thing is flipping like this, and then all of a sudden it's flipping like this. It was just like, so there is the magnetics, and hopefully it won't, because we don't want to, if it does flip, the whole world is going to get washed with, like, the oceans are going to be covering everything and then draining off.
Yeah.
Right? If you think about it, if you're spinning like this and all of a sudden you're spinning like this, the water doesn't stop spinning.
And it has to settle out.
It keeps going. So hopefully that doesn't happen. But the point I wanted to bring up was the magnetic field that protects the Earth from everything in space, all the cosmic rays and everything else, is very, very weak. And so we have to be aware of the possibilities of a flare from the sun, frying all of our electronics and all sorts of things, right? So you need, and the point being, like, when you watch us and listen to us, is we hope that you will go and you will investigate and you will think of things and you will look and you will check out what we tell you about health. And there's lots of people that are watching the stars, that are watching the sun, and be prepared is the biggest thing, right?
I don't know how I'm going to prepare for the fact that the famous Van Allen belt is weakened, and so my protection is gone. That's an interesting point. Like, for example, Mars doesn't have this, and the moon doesn't have this. And so people have been talking about, let's build a colony on the moon or on Mars. Well, listen, folks, it's not going to be that easy, because when you go out there, you'll be fully exposed, and you're going to have to figure out some level of magnetic protection. And we have these gadgets, these simple gadgets, like, for example, PEMF, pulsed electromagnetic frequencies. There's a gadget that essentially is like a blankie that lets you lay on top of it and they send magnetic pulses, and they are
Oh,
trying to simulate the field of the Earth, right? And there's this thing called the Schumann resonance, which is
yes.
around 9.7 or something like that beats per second hertz, right? So that would be the
Like a,
deepest sound that you hear is around 20. Elephants produce infrasounds. They're like between, say, 20 and 10, and this is a 10, right? So this is to a human ear, it's not comprehensible, but it's a oh, except
right.
deep, right? And that is what we simulate with these magnetic pads. And this was developed specifically by the Russians for their space program because they were
Ah,
well aware of the fact that people were coming back seriously depleted.
right.
Osteoporosis kicks in, but aging kicks in. I don't know if you saw the pictures of the two people that were stuck on the space station. They thought they were going for 8 days and ended up in 8 months.
No, I didn't see the pictures. No.
I saw a side-by-side picture of leaving and coming back. And the guy looked like he put on not 1 year, but 20.
Yeah, and that's what's going to happen if you try to go to Mars.
Yeah, stuff like that will happen. So I don't know. I like Elon Musk for his great engineering abilities, but this colony on Mars, there are going to be some challenges that are currently not being discussed.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's however many years at weightlessness to get there. So, how do you
Yeah,
keep your muscles? How do you keep your bones?
yeah,
And what sort of radiation is there out there?
yeah.
Do we actually know?
Yeah, how many solar flares will you hit with no umbrella that we call the Van Allen belt? Right?
Right. Uh,
Homeless.
okay. Well, to get
Life is
on
so
top,
complicated. Okay, let me make your life even more complicated. Talk about what you really wanted to talk about.
that's right. So, when Martin and I first met, of course, there's a line of superfoods called the Exela line, and one of the products is Iridesca. And for my whole life, I've been taking vitamin C's and vitamin B's and vitamin D's and this and that and everything else, and then I would stop. I would notice no difference whenever I stopped taking something, and I would stop sometimes just to see, like, is this making any difference? And then I started on the Iridesca, and I think it was probably 2 months. Like I had 2 bottles, so 1 bottle a month for 2 months. So basically, my routine is a glass of water, 8-ounce glass of water, put a scoop in, swirl it around, which amazed me because I'd never put a scoop of anything in water, swirled it around, and had it, not need a blender, right? But it all dissolved beautifully. And I drank it. I'm happy to say that either my taste buds are way worse than they were, or the flavor has improved immensely, or I'm used to it. But
You're accustomed.
I'm accustomed. So you have to, it doesn't taste like a chocolate bar, folks, but it was, I really felt good. And you've commented a few times when I haven't had it about, differences in me. But when I stopped, it was like, oh, like what's going on? I need that Iridesca. And so so for me, it's one of the reasons why I do these podcasts and work with Martin, is because I believe so much in the value of the products that he produces and vets and makes available to people on life-enthusiast.com. So with that introduction, Martin, tell us a little bit of the history of the Exela line and Iridesca and what it is.
Yeah. And it's a crazy story. Back 1988, a 30-year-old fellow, Larry Meyer, who later renamed himself to Javari Oberon, suffering from aluminum toxicity that he picked up during his young man days carrying irrigation pipes, moving irrigation pipes in an agricultural setting. He would come home shiny from aluminum. Shiny hands, shiny belly, right? Like as you rub it, it just
comes
does
off.
that. Oh yeah, yeah. And especially like you're carrying this pipe that I don't know the length of it. I don't know, 50 feet, 60 feet, or something like that. Pipe yay big, and you're carrying it like you're hugging the darn thing, and you're bouncing with it as you go, right? Anyway, lots of effort. So that's part one. Part two, he was walking barefoot in fields that have been treated with agricultural things, whatever that may have been. I don't know. This was as a 30-year-old, that would have been 90s. So he would, yeah, well, glyphosate was just cutting in. Anyway, so there he is every spring now getting allergies so bad that he wanted to just rip his eyes out of his head. It was just, and he's a religious man, and he put in a prayer, dear God, offer me a solution or take me out of here. I cannot live my life this way.
Wow.
And wouldn't you know, when properly applied and asked, you shall receive. He wakes up from an inventor's dream. And in that inventor's dream, it's revealed to him that he needs to put emulsifiers, antioxidants, green things, mineral things, whatever, 12 things put together. Put this together. He did, took it, and became free of his allergies. It just left. And that was a product that was known as Exela, and later became the Exela 50. And it was the most successful network marketing company launch in a long while. And by about 1992, he had 72 employees, and he was selling $500,000 every month. And he was traveling to Costa Rica looking for fields where he's going to plant the whatever that he needs to grow. You know, like it was phenomenal takeoff. And the FDA came knocking on the doors and said, A, cease and desist. B, we're investigating. And C, I don't know what the heck the rest of it was, but he was
shut down.
He was told to stop selling. He had one other product and one other company that he was able to sort of keep going. But the network marketing company, when you introduce to it this level of uncertainty, all the serious promoters just say, well, this is crazy. I'm not going to spend my days working here hoping that it's going to turn out well.
Right. They'll jump to the next ship.
So 18 months later, the FDA people came back and returned the computers and said, yep, as you were, everything's fine. It all checked out. The one thing that they were not allowed to do is quote government-funded research on a brochure as if it was their own, which was something like, if you take Dunaliella per study over here, you will be replacing vitamin A successfully. So that was the one-liner that was allegedly the problem, a problem.
Right.
And now we're in 1995 or so, and the company's just on the rocks. I met Javari in 1996. By that time, he renamed himself. I don't know. I think he wanted to part with the ways. In 1996, he had already created Iridesca, which was the culmination of his work. He kept iterating on the thing. And the iteration was that there are body systems, and all of them are natural, created by God, if you will, or at least evolution, and they will respond correctly to natural things and incorrectly to unnatural things.
Well, we're sure seeing that, aren't we?
Yes, we are. Yeah. Yeah. The
And
frogs
of course,
are
that's part of the way people are, particularly inventors, right? Like you make something and then you say, okay, I've had some experience with this. What if I put this in or I put that in? And what if I fiddle with this and fiddle with that? And what if I do it this way and then I do it that way?
yeah.
And of course,
So
then people would come up to him and probably say things like, I have a problem with my liver. And he'll be thinking about it and he'll think, well, like, what about this and what about that? And now
yeah,
you've got a liver superfood.
yeah, that's how it pretty much went. And so here he went from 12 baseline ingredients, and he kept developing. And the Exula Iridesca is made with 335. And I would like you to visualize it like this. You can make music with a string quartet. 2 violins, 1 viola, 1 cello, and you can make awesome music. Mozart and his buddies wrote all kinds of really pretty things.
Yeah.
Now you can expand on it a little, like you can add the woodwinds and the timpani, the drums, and whatever. And before you know it, you create this thing called a symphonic orchestra, and you're able to stage a symphony, something like the Beethoven's Ninth. Not only do you have several hundred people playing, but you can add to it a choir with soloists, right? And now you're doing la la da 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 da.
Totally different experience,
right? And when you play this thing, I don't know which or who of you has not experienced the Ninth Symphony, the final piece with the choirs going, who have not been moved emotionally.
Yeah.
Right? Well, anyway, so the Iridesca is a lot like that. Everything is playing. And it's the richness of the textures and the rhythms and whatever. Now, in nutrition, what we are using is when you crack a seed, you expose it to oxygen. You need to have an emulsifier and an antioxidant present when you do that. And you need to bring it down in particle size, because when you expose things to the digestive system by eating it, the digestive system extracts only from the surface layer.
Right.
So if you have something the size of a golf ball compared to the size of the peas, there's way more surface area in the smaller pieces. And that's what we do. A teaspoon of Exula product will deliver extractable surface area, and it goes with the third to the power of 3, comparable to a tablespoon of something else, right?
That's a really good point, Martin, is that you can have the bestest thing to eat, but if you can't absorb it, what good is it?
Right.
So, and the smaller the piece, like sand, like eating sand it isn't highly digestible, but you have a lot of surface area in a handful of hands, sand. But if you have one rock, you just have the outside of the rock that you're going to be able to.
Yeah, the entire inside mass is inaccessible.
Right.
So you need to crush it. And so that's what we do. But we do that in such way that it doesn't overheat. So the enzymes are preserved and the fragile oils are preserved. And all of that is retained in that product. So when you ingest it, you will end up absorbing things that you otherwise don't, even if you get good quality food. Chewing alone is not good enough to expose these microscopic surfaces.
Well, and how many people chew? That's a great point. And how many people actually do more than like chomp, 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 swallow? It's like,
yeah, you're supposed to chew every bite 20 times.
Yeah, and there's 14 people in the world that do that.
Yeah. Right. So we have this particle size reduction, emulsification, enzyme preservation, all of which
You haven't cooked the food.
no, it's not cooked. And then there's of course the selection, right? Where do we find it? Where is it grown? What climate? There are all kinds of neat things, like for example, plants that grow in adverse conditions bring into themselves all kinds of nutrients that are otherwise not available. Meaning this, you take a stupid tomato, the growing season is something like 90 days, and it just grows and there's the tomato. But if you take a herb that grows somewhere in Siberia, like Eleuthero, Siberian ginseng, it takes years to grow and it experiences very harsh climates. It has to develop some character to survive this.
Right.
So then when we get that plant has the ability to withstand the harshness and delivers it when you eat that. And we have many examples of that.
So how do you find these ingredients? I mean, you've been doing it for decades, so
Right.
there's, that's why. But it's like, do you have a network of people? Like, does somebody contact you and say, "Hey, you're buying stuff from Jose, and I have this thing I just found in the Amazon forest. Check it out." Or like, what sort of network do you?
Yeah, it's a process a lot like that. Early on, we were hunting for it. Now we're known and people call us. And so I don't have to go very far. We just, but listen, the most recent iteration on you mentioned the liver, we're just doing an iteration on the liver formula. And we just plugged in the formula into Chat GPT and told the AI, I want to make the most comprehensive liver restoration formula. Evaluate this and give me your feedback. It gave us 3 pages of feedback, praising us for this, and this, mildly adjusting this, and this, and then gave us, but you should also, because you're 0 in this area, right? So we're now redesigning the entire thing, and we're putting a new module on top of it. So it's the old new liver, exactly as it was, with this new block of amino acids that are, like in the liver function, you have phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3. We were ignoring the phase 3, and we're now putting that on, and we're going to now have a real rip-roaring repair, and let's see how it goes.
So, Martin, for those people that don't know, like me, what is phase 1, 2, and 3?
Oh, well, in liver function itself, it would be the phase 1 would be chopping down the stuff that's coming through, essentially.
Coming through the liver?
Yeah. Well, it's okay. So it starts like this. You eat something, it hits your gut. In the gut, it's processed by the microbes. And then however well the mucosal barrier functions, stuff gets passed through the barrier into the blood. And the first thing that's online in the blood's path between the gut and the rest of the body is the liver. It's the filtration organ. And so the phase 1 is take things apart. Phase 2, neutralize the dangerous stuff. Phase 3, get rid of the awful stuff.
So the liver formula that you had did the first 2, but not the last one, or helped.
It was not as good as
right.
It could have been, should have been, to be the absolute best, according to what the AI can tell you. And it's a PhD researcher, as we now know.
Right.
So
very cool.
Yeah.
So you have, as you know, my liver stopped 11 years ago.
Yeah.
And I was 5 or 6 weeks in a hospital, and they wouldn't let me eat anything. My pancreas got inflamed.
Yeah.
And,
the way I remember it is we were told to prepare to bury you.
Yeah. They told my mom, tomorrow you're going to have a casket come in and take them away. And
it was that touch and go. And then what miracle happened? We don't know, right? intervention from higher power.
I think there's like anything else, there's probably a number of reasons why I got sick. Nobody knows why. Nobody has ever seen anything like it. And I think it's the same when it comes to getting better. One of the things that I recall was my father had passed away the year before. And I said, there is no effing way I am going to I'll let my mom bury my dad last year and me this year. That is just not going to happen. And
Okay.
I think
refusing to submit. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think the other part of it was, I think I know the exact time that they told my mom, because she came. I don't actually know the exact time, but I think it was a certain day, because my mom comes in to see me. And I said, you need to get a lawyer because I need to change my will. And she was like a little freaked out. And everything is blurry to me. I mean, I was not at all there. And the nurse came in and gave me shit. But I think one of the reasons they reacted the way they did was because, like tomorrow is going to be his last day. So, but one of the things that, like, the people that have what I had, I shouldn't say nobody ever had it, that people have it, but nobody ever had it like I had it, because most of the people that have it are what I call Wolf of Wall Street people. They are, they do drugs, they smoke, they party, they have all, they're lots of money and all the rest of it. And they just abuse themselves, and then their liver stops. And 50% of the people, that's what they told me, 50% of the people. So when they came in to ask me questions, it was,
do you drink? Do this, do that, right? What's your lifestyle?
They would say, we want to ask you some questions. There'd be 4 doctors, right? And they'd ask these questions, and I would say, no. And then 4 hours later, another group of 4 doctors came in, asked the same question. Finally, the 3rd or 4th time, I'm thinking, they're wanting to find something, but they're not asking me what they want to find. And then I went, oh, and I said, I don't do drugs. I don't smoke. I do yoga 3 times a week. I walk a mile every day. And if I don't walk a mile, I bike 5 miles every day. I drink like 1 beer a month. I went on and on and on.
You're the model of not
Didn't
that.
have this happening to me, right?
Yeah.
So, and the doctor just said, oh, thank you, So I was actually on the heroin addict rehab floor of Vancouver General Hospital. And everyone else on the floor was going through withdrawals and screaming and upsetting and all the rest of it. And so one of the things that I said was, these nurses are all probably treated like crap. So I'm going to be really nice to all of them. And I was really nice to all of them.
Yeah.
Right? In fact, they even wrote on one of them told me, like, they're looking at my chart, and it says, he's a really nice guy.
As opposed to, he's a real jerk.
Yeah, and they treat you differently depending on that, right?
Yeah.
And so I think that it was kind of like push came to shove. I said, no, I'm not going. And I didn't need the white light in the tunnel part to decide I wasn't coming. I wasn't going, I mean. And then every day, like what they were saying was my enzymes were going up, 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 up. And then they said, you know what? Now they're kind of coming down, and now they're going across, and they're still too high, but they're not going up. And then they went down. And the last time I had checked it, I said, I don't know what these numbers mean. Like, what do they mean? And he says, well, this one here is if you had 3 beer last night and then you came in this morning and had your blood tested, that's what it would show me. Like, I know you had 3 beer last night, and I know you didn't have 3 beer last night, but your enzymes say that you had 3 beer. So what I have like 1 beer every 4 or 5 months. Usually I have 1 beer in whatever country I'm in, so I can say I've had like a South African beer. But when someone talks to me about, like, how come you don't, drink or have a drink with us? I said, no, like, you can have 2 or 3 beer, and tomorrow morning, if they test your blood and they test my blood, it'll be the same, like I did. Yep. So that's one of the reasons I think that I did get through it was that I had good health. Like, I had good cellular health. Like I've been taking the Iridesca and the other Excel lines for 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 years. I have no idea. Well, I'd be 7 or 8 years probably. And I'm sure that if I had been eating donuts and 50 pounds overweight, I wouldn't have made it.
Yep.
So
So
you
there
mean
you have it.
it's
So
have that strong foundation, right?
yeah. So going back to where we want to go. And then, despite all of this good food and including Iridesca, this did happen. While
it did happen. Yeah.
While not consistently, but taking it, right?
Right. Yeah, because things happen to people, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't know what the lesson was for my mom. I can't imagine what she was thinking, right?
Yeah.
Because it was a year to the to the month sort of thing when my dad passed away.
Yeah. Crazy.
So there's a lot of emotional stuff that was going on. Well, and you see, there's we talk a lot about stuff is out in the mental and emotional area. I'm grieving my dad, right?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. That's a pretty big grief that you go through, and so there's a lot of things that go into having good health, and there's a lot of things that go into health crises, right?
Yep.
And and there's probably other things that got fixed that might have been a problem 5 years later if I hadn't been in the hospital with all those tubes going into me. You can't prove a negative. Who knows, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So let's take a closer look at Iridesca. This is the bottle. This is what it looks like. And if you go down, this is one of the things I love about the Life Enthusiast website. We have a description, we have details, we have ingredients, we have instructions, we have related articles, like talking about, all the stuff about it. And then, scientific references, about antioxidants and plant extracts and herbs and echolone, minerals, probiotics, antioxidants. It's thorough, and the site is really an encyclopedia. And this is why I say to people, like, you should go here and check it out and take a look and then do your research and see. We've got a whole section on different health concerns that you might have. Minerals, you want to know, what does iodine do? What is humic and fulvic acid? Or supplements. So we've got the whole, and then if you have a favorite, I was going to say, you hit the shop and you probably see all the brands.
Well, when you hit, there are, right now you have it made so large that you don't see the whole menu. Click that plus sign next to contact us.
There we go. Brands.
Yeah, the brands show up. Click on that plus sign next to that contact us over there. There's a whole bunch of other stuff hiding there for the things that relate to the website. We have blogs and podcasts, and we have education seminars, and you name it.
Oh, and there's appointment. If you want to have a free chat with Martin for 15 minutes to talk about whatever's going on with you, go here. And
you can do that.
You do that. So let's take a few minutes, Martin. I know we're getting close to the end, if not past the end.
We're past it.
But let's talk about some of the ingredients, because there are things in here that...
Well, let me try and say it this way, Scott. I have had people call me for over the last 30 years since I've known Iridesca and tell me, hey, have you heard of... And they will say goji berries and noni and blue-green algae and whatever, right? And they would call me like in the year 2010 or 12 or 15 and say, have you heard of it? And I say, yeah, we put it into the Iridesca. And so when you go through this list, we put them into these groups, these categories, right? Like there's the essential oils, there's the antioxidants, there are the adaptogenics, there are the Amazonian stuff, there are the etheric oils, there are, well, You can
It
see the
just
groups there, right?
Aura Greens. I'm taking the Aura Greens
Yeah. So
only
the
right now. Beautiful.
Yeah, for example, the Aura Greens is a subset of the Exula Iridesca. So we do sell it separately as a thing, but Aura Greens are the most parasympathizing, calming, relaxing things you can put in your body.
Yeah. And then here's Strataflora, which is another product.
Yeah, so the Strataflora is something that you use to help restore the internal terrain, the flora in your gut.
So I have to reinforce what you just said, Martin, about people calling this stuff. I went to a conference by a fairly well-known functional health, natural health guy, and it was 3 days and 532 speakers getting on stage, sort of thing. And they were all, oh, I am so excited because I'm going to be talking to you about the power of artichoke, and I'm going to talk to you about the power of pomegranate and the power of juniper and the power of jactoba. And every time they said something, I would run back to my room, get my bottle of Iridesca, and look up the ingredient, and it was in there. There was nothing that they talked about that wasn't already a part of the product. It was just amazing.
So there are some new things that I have now lately heard about, and we're considering them to put it into the symphony. Remember, this is a symphonic orchestra. And so none of it is there in a large amount, right? Like if you're playing the second bassoon, you're going to be noticed, but not hugely. So
you're not overpowering anybody.
Yeah. So like Scott mentioned a thing. So let's just pick something. Maca from Peru is there. It's represented. It's not in an insignificant amount, but it's just one of many. And it's on the team.
Right.
So I want to tell you, when a team wins a Super Bowl, was the guy who was cutting the grass on the training field relevant or not?
Of course.
Was the guy who washed the uniforms for after all the practice sessions, did he contribute to the winning of the Super Bowl?
Yeah.
And the answer is, think about it. It all is there. Even the famous quarterback who wins the game have to have a receiver to throw the ball to, and have to have the guys who actually allow for the receiver to be free or whatever the deal is.
And the quarterback needs to be protected.
Right.
And somebody has to call up the play.
Right. All of that.
Yeah.
And this metaphor holds in so many ways, right? This is just a sports metaphor, but try and send a, I don't know, soldier,
offensive lineman like me.
Yeah. Send a platoon out into secure a hill. I don't know what the deal is, right? It's going to require total commitment and total collaboration. So I'm getting at that the Iridesca is a lot of members, some more important in a visible way, but all important in a team getting a long way.
Right. And consistency is really important, right? Like you can have one glass and then you don't have it ever again. It's not going to do you a lot of good because you're constantly regenerating yourself, burning energy, doing all these things, and you need it. And
true.
I sometimes think, oh, I should have, apple cider vinegar, but it tastes terrible. I don't want to. And then I look at the product and, oh, there's some in there. So maybe it's not 2 liters of apple cider vinegar, but it's probably just what I need to have when I consistently have it every day.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
And
that's only half of the story. I could keep going about the details of how something is selected and why it's the better version of it than the other, and so on.
Before I forget, this is the link if you want to check out Iridesca, and it is in the comments, probably in the description too, but it's definitely, I just put it out to the comments so everyone can see it.
Yep, give it a go. Yeah, we sell it in 2 sizes, a 60 teaspoon and a 150 teaspoon. And it's a better deal when you buy the big one. But if you just want to dip your toes, 60 teaspoons for $75. So it's just a smidge over $1 for a teaspoon, which is, well, 2 teaspoons a serving size, 3 teaspoons a decent serving size.
So stop taking the Starbucks triple latte Americano Frappuccino, and which costs $7, and put it into your health instead.
Yeah, if you do $7 worth of Iridesca a day, you'll be unstoppable.
Yeah. And my bottle is going through South African customs right now. As I mentioned, I'm in Cape Town. They asked for some ingredients and what it's for, so I went to the site, copied and pasted. Anything that sounded too dangerous for the health authorities, I omitted, and hopefully it'll be delivered soon.
Yeah,
So
you just tell them it's a complex salad.
It's a complex salad. That's what I'm going to tell them.
Yeah.
And there's nothing in there that's going to hurt anybody. They don't care about that. They don't mind if it hurts. They just don't want it to make you better.
Yeah.
Did I say that out loud?
Yeah.
So to just tie a bow on everything, Martin, thank you for taking time out of your busy day, everybody. We really appreciate you joining us. And Marit Evans gets the last word. History shows the earth has flipped at least twice before and another is coming. That is the day's darkness. There are always some survivors.
Well, Marit, I hope you're included in the 144,000 chosen that are predicted to have made it through.
Right. So, yeah, and, check out, you really should spend some time figuring out what are you going to do if everything stops. Does everything last forever? Hasn't so far. We've had floods, we've had comets hit and destroy the dinosaurs, and all sorts of things like that. And we've been really fortunate. We've been in a time of relative calm peace. There hasn't been huge volcanoes going off all the time like that has also happened, right? Yeah. So, be prepared would be the thing. So, George, thank you so much for joining us. And with that, Martin, we'll see you next week.
Yes, sir.
Bye for now.
Hey. Hey.